All right, 5th grade, classifying triangles for lesson 36. So you have already learned the different types of angles. You have acute, you have right, and you have obtuse angles. That's one way to classify triangles as well. If they have a right angle, they'd be a right triangle. If they have an obtuse angle, there would be an obtuse triangle, or an acute angle, they could be an acute triangle. They can also be classified by sides. So you have equilateral, which means every side is equal. This side, and this side are all the same length. Isosceles, that means two sides are equal, so this one and this one are the same length. And scalene, which means none of the sides are equal in length. They're all a different length. Okay? So if you're using a math notebook, go ahead and write those down. Write an example for each, or draw an example for each of these triangles. It says all three sides of this triangle are congruent. That means they're the same. Congruent means same. Same size, same shape. Which of the following terms does not describe the triangle? So if we look back at our classifications here, it's talking about the sides. So equilateral, isosceles, scalene. And then we also have the angles. We have acute, right, obtuse. So if you take a look at this triangle here from our example, it says, which of these does not? So is it equilateral? Equilateral means each side is the same length. Yes, it is equilateral. Okay, so that one checks out. Acute, if you take a look at the angles, yes, it has acute angles over here, less than 90 degrees, so that one checks out. Isosceles. Isosceles means two sides are congruent, two sides are equal, that checks out. You have more than two. And then right, there are no right angles, so this one would have to be the one that does not describe this triangle. All right, represent, it says draw three angles with three sides that are segments of equal length. Three angles with three sides that are segments of equal length. Make the first an angle acute, the second right, the third obtuse. Then for each angle, draw a segment between the endpoints to form a triangle. Classify each triangle by sides and by angles. Okay, so I'm going to draw three angles with sides that are segments of equal length. So I'm going to try really hard to make sure one is, the first is acute. So let's go here. To me, those look about the same. The second one right. That looks about the same to me. And the third obtuse. Those look about equal to me. Then it says draw a segment between the endpoints to form a triangle. And then classify each one. So here, there, here, there, and here. Then it says classify all of them. So obviously you have the first one is an acute triangle. The second one is a right. So acute, right. And the third one is obtuse. And then we also need to classify them by their sides. So not only is this an acute triangle, but if I did draw it equally, this should be an equilateral. This one should be isosceles. And this one should also be isosceles, because you have two sides that are the same length. All right, it says classify each triangle by angles up here. So by angles, this one would be acute, because you can see its angles are acute, has acute angles. This one would be obtuse because it's obtuse angle, and this one would be right because it has a right angle. Classify each by sides. Okay, so this one looks like it's isosceles. This one looks like it is, for E, it looks like none of them are the same. So if I look back up here, that'd be scalene. And letter F would be equilateral. And triangles that are equilateral, I suppose, are also isosceles because they have two sides, just like they have three sides. All right, so there we just classified all those. All right, here's what your lesson practice looks like. If you have any questions, ask me during math class.